Okay, so let me start by introducing myself. My name is Marieke de Villiers. I'm a family physician from Stellenbosch University, South Africa. I'm the Stripe coordinator for AFREhealth, and we work with UCSF on this wonderful Stripe project. Very excited for the webinar this afternoon, where we have about over 100 people registered. I see they're coming in quite fast now, over 60. So the name of this webinar today is about navigating the Stripe courses on the AFREhealth LMS. So you've already had some trainings for the basics. Now we're really getting into the nitty-gritty. So what we will cover today is registration on the AFREhealth LMS, Learning Management System, just LMS for short, in order to access the online course for Stripe HIV. And we have a few speakers, which I will mention in a moment. They will take the participants through the process of registration and navigation through the available Stripe courses. Not all the modules are yet on the LMS, but the ones that are on, they will show that. So you know everybody that's going to speak already, but let me just introduce them again. Professor Fatima Suleiman from University of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. She's the AFREhealth, there she's giving us a wave. She's actually the Learning Management System coordinator for AFREhealth, and she's been working more than full-time on this project. Thank you, Fatima, for that. Then we will have Cheyenne Martin, who's the project manager from the UCSF side. She has also put in most of her life in the last few months on the LMS. Then we have Gina Kaiser, who's instructional designer, who will show us the detail on the courses. She's from UCSF, and then we have Sebastian Augusta from UCSF. And Fatima, I'm not sure if Madhu Adidam will speak, but I'm sure when we get there, you will advise us on that. So please put your questions on the chat as they go along, so that we can see the questions and the appropriate people can respond to that. Please mute yourself. Okay, so I'm going to hand over to Fatima then for a short introduction. Thank you. Enjoy.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am quickly going to take us through, hang on, there we go, through the LMS registration aspect. Just for those of you that are not familiar, I know some of you have already registered on the site, but in case those of you that haven't, when you get to the registration site, which is learn.afrehealth.org, which is on the top here, you will see this screen. If it's your first time, you will need to create an account, and that's the registration step I'm going to take you through today. So this is the green screen. You would have to create a new account. When you click on create an account, you will see this screen come up. It'll ask you for a username. Please remember your username needs to be in lowercase only. You have to add in your first name, your last name, your email address. Please make sure you check that the address is correct and that there's no spelling mistakes, because it's only the one time that you enter your email address. You will need to choose a password, confirm the password, put in a mobile number. Do not leave any spaces between the numbers. Just type the 8 or 10 numbers in directly. Add in a drop-down menu your age and your gender. It continues to ask you what degree you have as a specialization, what your profession is, what your training level is, which country you are from, and which institution. All of these are in alphabetical order. Now, for the Stripe courses, the ones that we are dealing with right now, you will get a code or a token sent to you to register. So once you get a token, you say yes, and you add in that code that was given to you and say save changes. Once you say that and you submit it, you should then be able to get a screen that says you have successfully registered please check your mail to log in. And in your mail, you will receive a confirmation email that you have successfully registered. Now, at the moment, there is a renewal process underway for the licensing of the mail server and the AFREhealth website. So you might encounter two errors. The first is that you might not get the first is that you might not get the mail to say you successfully logged in, but you will get this picture on your screen. And that's because of the fact that if the certificate has not been renewed properly or on time, then your institution server might reject it. And therefore it might not come through, or it might get into your junk mail. So please check your mail, or you might have to approve that it be released. The other bit about the certificate of the LMS being renewed at the moment, you might get a warning that the certificate is not secure, but I promise you, you can continue onto the site. It is very much secure. Once you receive the certification and successfully logged in, you can then put in your username and your password and log in. Once you log in, you will be taken to the learning management site dashboard. Now, it'll look slightly different from the one I'm showing you because this is a screenshot of a previous picture, and I also have a lot more access to a lot more courses than you do, but this basically will look like the screen you will get in on your dashboard. And there will be modules that you will have access to at that point in time. So I think that is a very quick overview of the registration on the site. If there's any questions, please put them in the chat and I will try and answer them. But for now, I am going to hand over to the UCSF team via Mariki for specifically going through the online Stripe courses on the AFREhealth LMS.
Thanks, Fatima. I don't see any questions in the chat yet. It's difficult to see a hand raised. Okay, so let's carry on. Cheyenne, are you taking over? Cheyenne?
Thank you. So I'm gonna first ask Gina to start. And she's gonna start to give you an overview of the online course.
Just to say, there is a question in the chat. Fatima, will you answer it in the chat, please?
Yes, I will.
Okay, so is everybody seeing my screen with the Stripe HIV beta pilot course site there?
Yes.
Great. So hi, everyone. I'm Gina Geiser. I've been working as an instructional designer on this course site for the last few months with UCSF and all our partners, so I'm happy to be here. Let's see, I know some of you have probably seen different versions of the pilot and the course at other webinars. I just wanted to point out that we've been getting some great feedback from people, and so this version that I'm showing you today has incorporated some of those comments. And after me, my colleague Sebastian will also be showing you another version of some of the modules. So I wanted to just point out a couple of things about the course site when you first get on. So again, there's this navigation bar here that is hideable. I suggest having it open when possible if you're working on a tablet or a laptop, because it's easy to jump around between modules and activities. The other thing I wanted to point out is these two forums at the top. The announcements are for the e-learning coordinators and facilitators to be able to send out general news and announcements and maybe resolved issues and things like that as they come up. So this goes directly out to the students and will show up also as a notification in their email. So an example here that we have is like a welcome to the course message for people. And again, that would give them a link back to the announcement within the course site. So it's a great way to give information and keep everyone on the same page. The other one, go back here, is the question and answer forum. And this can be used by anybody. So students can also post on this forum if they're having trouble. Like here's an example of, some people wanting to work together. They can send something out, and students can also answer each other here. So this could be sort of a peer peer discussion, or it could be something that a facilitator might answer and that everyone will see. And again, this is somebody posted here. What I don't have is like a reply. To reply to somebody or edit a post as an editor, you should be able to use these links down here, write a reply, and then everyone will see it. If anyone has any questions as I'm moving through this, because I'm going fairly quickly, please use the chat, and I'm happy to stop and go over something again or in more detail. So now I am jumping to the overview section, and this is really helpful, of course, in the beginning. And so I would encourage all the students to go through this before they start any of the activities, because it gives some general information about the Stripe training, and also talks a little bit about, you know, the online learning components for each module and what's expected. Of course, you'll be working on the calendar and the schedule for each instance and cohort, and that would be here. We now have the Stripes registration survey here, so we're hoping that the students can take that first. We'll also have a quick thing about setting up their profile and notification preferences. That's something that each person can do individually. And then we also have this forum here. I'm not sure how many of you saw it. That's really kind of for fun, but it's also for practice so that students can get an idea of how to interact online. So we're just asking them some really basic information about their name, how they want to be addressed, what's their title, or maybe something that interests them. So here's an example of what that looks like. Here I posted my name and a couple of things about myself, and then somebody else replied below. So this can be kind of a fun way for students to get to know each other, and I encourage the facilitators and e-learning coordinators to jump in here as well and meet people and get conversations started. So I tend to use the back button a lot, but you can also go back to the main overview site that way, or there's also some other links that I'll show you in a minute for navigating. One quick thing I wanted to show you, we now have a Zoom guide that's comprehensive. Sorry, it's taking a moment to load, but I just want to show you this is also here, and it's a good resource for the Zoom session. So I would encourage you to have the students download this and go over it before they start the course. So I'm going to jump right into module 4. So this was one of the first ones we did, and it uses Moodle exclusively. So here we have a case study and then a roadmap for all of the activities that they'll be doing. So we want them to start with the pre-knowledge assessment quiz before they do anything else, go through the activities, do a Zoom session, and then end with the post-knowledge assessment. So we sort of outlined that here for them, but it would be great if that could be emphasized by the facilitators as well. So here's the pre-knowledge quiz. And so I've already taken this. I can show you what it looks like. Students should be able to see their own answers, but for the pre-knowledge quiz, we're not giving them the answers because they will be going through the activities and taking the post-knowledge quiz later. At the end, we will reveal what the answers are and how they did on the quiz. So that's what it would look like for an individual response. Let's see. I guess you wouldn't be giving feedback on the pre-knowledge quiz because they will be taking, they will be taking that on their own. But before I move on, I wanted to show you, if you wanted to see general scores as you go, this view all responses here gives you sort of a nice dashboard of how people answer the questions. You know, so if there are some common misconceptions or common wrong answers, that's something maybe you could emphasize in your Zoom session or in the conclusion to make sure students are understanding the material. So I'm going to go through a couple of these activities just so you can see what they look like on the back end. So the first one here is a discussion question. So we're asking them to answer 2 questions, and then after they answer, they will respond to at least 2 other people. And there's even a word count limit on here, which I believe shows up within the forum post so they can see if they've met the requirements. So here's a test entry. This would be a question to the answer, and then this could be a reply here. And again, these are just test entries, so there's no content there of use, but just to show you what it looks like. So to reply, students or facilitators could use this button here and enter their answer there. So another way to jump back and forth when you're a facilitator, you might be going into posts and out, is to just go up to the top here. All of these are links back, kind of back from where you came. So I like to use these also to just go back to the main dashboard. I also wanted to point out there's this little subscribe button. I think automatically when somebody posts, they will be subscribed to that entry, meaning that if somebody replies to their post, they will get an email or a notification saying that. If it becomes too much or too active, they can also just turn it off so that they don't get emails anymore. So it's just something to realize that students have the ability to turn that on and off. So if you're finding that people are not going back in and commenting, you may want to, ping them or send out an announcement asking them to do so. So another type of activity, and scroll back to where I was here. Sorry. Activity 4.2 is a lesson activity. So what this does is it takes them through information and they can click the next button to go through the lesson, which as long as we have time here, I think I will do. There's a question that they can answer. They can submit their question. So in this case, it was correct, and they get immediate feedback about how they did and then what the correct answer is. This is a reflection that we're asking them to do on their own. There's no place for them to enter their answer. It's just for them, for their own information. Although we do give them some feedback there. And then there's some further reading and they end the lesson. So for them to get credit for this, they do need to go through the whole lesson. I'm going to go back here so I can show you. As you can see, since I went through the quiz fully and I answered all the questions, there was a checkbox. And then I went through the whole lesson, there's a checkbox. So these two things students can do on their own and get a checkbox, and same with the lesson activity. They do need to, sorry, so here's another discussion post. They do need to interact with the discussion post at least 3 times to get a checkbox. I think in the initial pilot we had less interaction needed, but they need to post their own reply to the questions, and then they need to reply at least to 2 other students to get the checkbox. So that should also be another way for you to sort of review their participation and see that they're keeping up with the materials. So again, all of these discussion forums work the same way. We wanted to keep them similar so that there was less of a learning curve for each activity. And the students could go through these fairly quickly. So one more activity I'll show you really quickly. So this is more of an assignment, I think, activity in Moodle. And this is a fishbone diagram. So we give them an example. And then here we're asking them to download the activity, which is a Word file. And I realize I'm not sharing in a way that you can see this. So let me all right, are you able to see the fishbone diagram there? So this is a Word, a Word file that they can go in and edit themselves. So we're asking them, we give them an example here, and then we're asking them to fill it out with information from their clinic site. So once they've done that, And I think I've already submitted, but since I've submitted, it doesn't show here, but it would say add my submission if I hadn't submitted before. This would be what it would look like for you once students start submitting. You can view the submissions here. And you get a list of everybody that submitted their diagrams. We are not asked, even though it says grading, we're not asking you to grade it, but if you'd like to give feedback, you can basically download somebody's submission and open it, and then take a look and see what they've done. I believe, let's see, I believe there's a way to download all of them at once. And there's also a way to give comments if you'd like within the course site. So it's sort of up to you how you'd like to do that. I will say it's more, this activity is more based on like for grading for a course that grades. So it's a little cumbersome to give feedback on, but it can be done. Let's see, I believe if you do it here. Sorry, I'm not in the right. I'll go back to the other page here. Sorry, it was the green button. It says grade on it, and I think we're going to change that. It's white, so you can tell what it is. So anyway, here is one of the submissions, and then here's where you would give feedback comments. And you can send save changes and notify the student by email if you'd like. Okay, so the most important thing, even though those are important, is of course the pre and post tests. So once they've gone through the activities, and this would include your Zoom session and kind of conclusion and wrap up, we want them to be able to take the post-test quiz. So these are the same questions as the pre-test quiz, but we're hoping that they will improve and do better, and we're hoping to measure that improvement across all of the courses. So they're not able to take this until they've taken the other quiz and gone through the activities. Down here are some resources for them. So we have other pages that they can look at with acronyms, the slides that are used within the activities and in the Zoom session. This is one of the handouts, for instance. Oh, and I might add, we now have the ability to open them in a new window, and students can download and print them or save them if they wish. And then, of course, lots of references. So these might be things that you would want to point out to them before they take the post-knowledge quiz so that they can reinforce the learning that happened in the activities. And then these are things, of course, that as facilitators and e-learning coordinators, you would want to download and use for your Zoom sessions and for feedback. So are there any questions?
Nope, none in the chat box.
Okay, wonderful. Well, please let us know if you do have any. And let's see, is Sebastian ready? Should I stop sharing my screen?
Yep, I'm ready.
Oh, I am seeing a couple hands up.
Do you want to answer those first, Gina, or?
Yeah, I think if it's easier to take yourself off mute and ask the question, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah, it's difficult actually to see the hands. There's so many people. So yes, take yourself off mute and ask your question. I think Sandila had a hand up.
Yes, good afternoon. I just have one question. The notification that I saw when you click on subscribe, is that linked to, does the notification goes into your email or what happens? And as well as when new content is added, do the students also get notified via email? Those are just my questions that I wanted clarity on. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So the notifications do go through email. Yeah, in fact, I will show you even more detail on that. Oh, Is this right? I'm sorry, I went to the wrong one. If you go to your own preferences, and this may be something that you'd like to do on your own to test, you'll notice that there are preferences for the forums and some of the other things on the course and the notifications down here. So if you look here, there's actually quite a few settings that you can go into if you want to customize this. I believe these are the default settings. So most of them are the email notifications are on. Someone could set up to get mobile notifications as well. But I mean, you know, we want to find that balance between giving them information that the things are happening on the course site without overwhelming them. To be honest, when the forums are active and if they are subscribed to everyone, it can be quite an overload of notifications, which I think sometimes means that they don't read them all because there's too many. So if you're finding that people are not sort of online at the same time, that may be because their notifications are off or they're getting too many and they're ignoring them. So what I would say is let's see, expect that they'll get a lot of notifications when activities are happening. And if you'd like to, you know, give them some more information, I would use the announcement tool to send them another one through email. Yeah. That answers your question. Was there any others?
Yes, there's one that Clara asked, I'll try to clarify it. So Shahan has actually responded to her and said we'll go into how to do that on Friday's webinar. Okay, so then I think you covered, Gina, and we can carry on.
Okay, thank you.
Sebastian.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Sebastian August. I'm the LMS administrator for UCSF. I'm going to be talking to you about an asynchronous style learning that we've built out within the courses and that you'll see in the coming future. But before I get started with that, I want to talk a bit about what this asynchronous content means. In some cases, we see PowerPoints or documents that you read or look over as content that you'll look at before the session happens, the live session. And it's helpful in most cases. But what we wanted to do was build something that was more engaging for the participants that were a part of these sessions. So we've worked to build out these interactive asynchronous content that is self-paced that you'll go through at your own leisure. And this is content that is accessible through a tablet, your phone, or on the computer. So any type of technology that you have, you'll be able to access this tool. What I'll do now is I'll actually show you what it looks like. So
Sebastian?
can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. So as you see here, we have a module that we're looking at, and you'll see here we have this this link that looks like a package or a gift. When you click on it, that's the interactive content that we've created. When you click on it, it'll take you to the page and let you know any of the information that you need to know. So how many attempts are allowed, you know, what is a grade percentage if there is one, and then after that, you'll just press enter. When you've clicked on enter, what you'll see here is that it'll open up right within the course site. And you'll see that it has a breakdown of all the different topics that will be covered in this specific asynchronous course. And it even tells you the percentage of completion you are at. So here we'll go into introduction, and you'll see here that it covers a bit of information. And as you scroll through, you'll see that it provides information on the learning objectives and acronyms you may need to know, as well as additional information. Once you're done, you'll see at the bottom of the screen, there's a link to the next lesson. When you click on it, it'll just scroll down and you'll see that it takes you to lesson 2 of the 8. Once you've completed a lesson, you'll see on the left-hand side that a check mark appears next to the lesson that you've completed. You'll also see on the left-hand side, if you haven't completed it, it will show you your progress with that specific lesson. And as you get further through the lesson, it'll complete the circle in this case. And you'll see here, it has the same type of information. There's pictures with information that comes in. So it's more interactive rather than just stagnant in some cases with the content you'll go over. And as you're going through all of this information, you'll be able to stop at any point in time and come back to it, and it'll open exactly where you left off. So if I was to close this session right now, and I click back into it again, it'll take me right back to reflection. And you'll see that there's also areas for you to engage. So here, it says, in 1 or 2 sentences in the space below, state your health profession and describe how you will evaluate the patient. As you plug in this information, you'll be able to press submit, and the information will be sent out to all of the facilitators. Once you get to the end, of course, it looks exactly the same way. You'll click lesson 3, and it'll now take you to the next lesson. And you'll see the check mark appears. And you'll see we're 25% complete with this specific lesson. Now, as you go through, you'll see that there's buttons that appear that can open up to a new window that gives you specific content you may want to download. So as you click on these links, they'll open up in a new browser. As you go through here as well, you'll see that there's other interactions. So here we have one area that goes over length type of for age. And then after that, you can click on the next area of the table to see more information on the weight for age. And of course, there's even quizzes or knowledge checks that happen throughout the lesson. So for example, here, you'll see it's asking me a question about the specific table that we just looked at. If I click, let's say 85%, it'll even let me know if I'm incorrect and then tell me, please take again and try again to select or select continue to move on. So if I want to, I'll press take again just to confirm that I try it again just to make sure I get it right. I'll click, I still got it wrong. It still gives me multiple chances to try it out, but if not, you can always press continue. And you'll see here, the information is pretty clear, right? It goes over this in multiple different ways to make sure that you gain the most out of this content. And of course, if you have questions as I'm talking about this, please don't hesitate to raise your hand and we'll go through it. And you'll see that if I need to, I can zoom in on any of the images that are showing up. So if I need to look at this a bit closer, I can do that with any of the images that are here. Now you'll see it says that I need to complete the content above before moving on. So there will be certain sections where you'll need to complete specific tasks that are asked of you to move on to the next section. And there's no other way to do it but to either get the answer correct or to complete the task. And you'll see it'll let me know that I didn't get it right. I can try again. It lets me know I didn't get it right again. And it'll even give you information on the grading that you have, and you'll see an area to submit your thoughts in the box. There's also drag and drop options available, so you can try these. You'll see that as you go through these, there's different options available, and I must complete this to be able to go further. All right, and it lets me know how many I got correct. And you'll see right when I finish it, it'll take me to the next lesson. I'm going to stop here because I don't want to give you everything that's happening, but I am here to answer any questions you have about this new, engaging, interactive content.
Okay, any questions to Sebastian? Just to everybody, we are investigating why people can't join beyond 100, because AFREhealth has a license for many more. I'm sorry about that. We are making a recording, so reassure your colleagues about that. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat there. There was a question around the fishbone that Gina answered, and so the person who asked that can just respond in the chat because she's asking a response. Any other questions for Sebastian? Okay, then we go back to Cheyenne.
Thank you, Mariki. And thank you, Gina and Sebastian, for giving us that overview of the online course. I know on a future webinar, we'll go over into it in more depth. And on Friday's webinar, we're going to go into the virtual workshop course in more depth, which you haven't seen yet. And so you still might be wondering, what is the difference between these two and what do you need to prepare for? And so that's how I'm going to wrap up Sebastian and Gina's part. So as Sebastian described, the online course is, and what Gina and Sebastian just showed you, is it's mostly asynchronous content. So learners are guiding themselves through most of the module content. The part that is synchronous is there'll be, for every module, there will be one activity and conclusion that is done on Zoom. And Zoom sessions are meant to be shorter. It's as short as 30 minutes. The virtual workshop, which some of you all may have already done on your own, especially to deliver the COVID module, is almost entirely synchronous. So it's the same in-person material facilitated through Zoom. The exception is if there are any pre-readings that you assign or that are suggested in the module. These different courses have pros and cons. So the benefit of the virtual workshop is it maximizes interprofessional interaction, but it does require high internet connectivity and extended periods of time for meeting. Whereas with the online course, there's limited interprofessional interaction since it is being done on people's own time, but it enables more offline learning and less meeting time, especially for busy health professionals. There's differences between the sites on what is available. So starting with the module numbers. So with the virtual workshop, we have about 10 of the modules that are available now, including module 13 that has been adapted for COVID. And then the remaining modules are in the version 2.0 module material. So these are the materials you use in the first year. We do expect that you'll have all version 3.0 modules the next 4 to 6 weeks. And so the modules that you choose to use might be influenced by the time that you start your workshops, and if you want to start earlier or start later using any of the modules that are yet to be updated. In the online course, we will start with about 8 modules that will look like a mix of what Gina and Sebastian showed you. with the remaining version 3.0 modules being uploaded slowly as they are available. We will not be adapting any of the older version 2.0 modules for the asynchronous course. In the LMS for the virtual workshop, there will be a learner guide that you will be able to disseminate to your learners to support them through the virtual workshops. In the online course, no learning guide will be provided, as all asynchronous activities will be take the place of that learner guide. The exception is there will be instructions for the Zoom activities, such as a role play handout. In both courses, there will be a pre-course survey, pre and post module quizzes per module. So they're taken separately as modules are implemented, and then a post-course survey. Both courses will also include the facilitator guide, learner handouts such as readings or role play exercise, and a certificate of completion. And the materials you provide are also different. So as you learned about in the opening webinars on hosting a Zoom workshop, we encourage you to create tailored facilitation PowerPoints from the materials that are provided, both for the lead hosts and the breakout facilitators. And then you can also provide country-specific reading to prepare your learners for the workshops. For the online course, we encourage you to add country-specific resources, and you do have the option to add your own quiz questions. And we will go into how you do this specifically on a future webinar. How you disseminate materials is also different. So for the virtual workshop, there's one single virtual workshop course that all Stripe partners will be sharing. And so only the standard materials will be available in the LMS, and any additional materials such as country-specific pre-readings or your Zoom link will have to be disseminated outside of the LMS using modalities such as email or WhatsApp messages. For the online course, each partner will receive their own course site, their own replica of the online course. And so you will be able to make specific modifications that we'll talk about in another webinar, and you can send your learners messages, you can post the Zoom link in the LMS. The LMS is the one-stop shop for all learner communication and all material dissemination. The responsibilities, which I know we've talked about in the past, but I do want to, well, sorry, I'm going to go back one slide and say something about these quizzes. So as I'd said, there's pre-post quizzes that are available in both, and those should not be changed because those are the same questions that are being asked among all partners and help us with our monitoring of the project. But if you do want to add country-specific quizzes, the online course is the way to go. So coming to responsibilities, you know that in the April 30th Stripe report that you all just submitted, we asked for your contact information specifically for the training coordinators and the e-learning coordinators. And this is so that we can start to send tailored communication. For both the virtual workshop and the online course, the training coordinator is really the one kind of pulling everything together and communicating with the PI and the PD and the facilitators and the e-learning coordinator. For the virtual workshop, how this role is different is this person should ensure that country-specific materials are being disseminated and Zoom invites are being sent to participants. For the online course, they should be aggregating all of the desired course modifications and make sure that the e-learning coordinator gets those and also oversees inputs of facilitators. Now, we've received some requests that the training coordinator or the facilitator should be able to make direct modifications, but we really want to reserve that for just the e-learning coordinator. So look, staying still on the right side in the online course, the e-learning coordinator will make the course modifications in the LMS, and they may also act as the Zoom administrator. On the virtual workshop, the e-learning coordinator has no responsibility to make modifications since there's just one site that everyone is using, but they should act as the Zoom administrator. And this means they will receive the Zoom license AFREhealth. Now, if there is, we do have some flexibility here. If there is someone else or a few people that want to share the responsibility of being the Zoom administrator, that is possible. But you all have received an email from Iranius, or at least the PIs and the PD should have, asking for that response for the email of the information of the people that you want Zoom licenses for. Alternative people to act as a Zoom administrator would be a tech-savvy lead facilitator. Okay, so that brings us to the lead facilitator. For the virtual workshops and the online course, the lead facilitator is the one who's opening and closing the Zoom session in a large group. For both the virtual workshop and the online course, the breakout facilitators are facilitating the small group discussions and activities. So as a reminder, in the virtual workshop, they will be facilitating all of the small group discussions. You might have 4, 5, 6 breakouts, depending on how you set up your activities. And on the online course, it will be just one breakout session to cover the designated activity. What's different for the online course, all facilitators will have the responsibility to respond to discussion posts and provide feedback on submitted activities. And who is doing what will be coordinated by the training coordinator. And we will go over how exactly to respond to discussion posts and provide feedback on a later webinar. So I keep saying on a later webinar, so this is a preview. And so today, what you just heard or saw were the components of the online course. On Friday, we will go into depth on using the virtual course and show you what that looks like. And then we have a little bit of a break. And then the week of May 17th, we will go over how e-learning coordinators will specifically modify the online course and how facilitators will facilitate the online course. So I will stop there. And I can answer any questions.
Thanks, Anne. That was very useful. But it's also very dense, so I guess people will probably encounter the questions as they go along. Is there a mechanism where they could be asked questions as they go along on the LMS?
That is go ahead, Fatima, I wanted to turn that over to you.
Yeah, I think there's a question and answer and a discussion forum just on announcements, but I will double check that because I know we did create a forum where we could capture people's questions and people's queries. So that's it. And I know everybody's dying to view the course. So I was just going to come in at this point and say, please note that we will send you your codes and tokens for registration. And once you register, you will have access to that, but that will not be this week, if that's okay. We can try for the end of the week or early next week if possible. I'm trying to think of what day it is of the week. Sorry, I've lost track. Yeah, but maybe by the end of the week or early next week. Shan, that's right.
Yeah, so the virtual workshop is in theory available now. It's just going to take some time to get those to get the tokens to everyone. The online course, we're waiting a little bit longer to have some more modules. And so the earliest that you could get access to that online course would be June 1st. But we have a preview through some facilitator training and a play space. Fatima, do you want to explain what those are?
Yes, I can do the facilitator. And I think that Gina will be doing the play space at another time. But I will quickly show you what's there in terms of the facilitator. So we haven't forgotten you, basically. And what we have done to make things a little bit easy is we've created a facilitator training course on the LMS that you will have access to once you register with the code that we send to you. You can, now again, your dashboard will look different from mine, so please don't say that it'll look the same, but you can access it from my courses. It'll be there, facilitator training, or on the menu bar that Gina had spoken about over there. So it's called Facilitator Training. You might also be able to access it on your dashboard. This is what it looks like when you get into it. There are announcements here that will post announcements. And what we could do also is put a discussion board there. So if you have any questions, you can ask. But basically what we try to do is give you tools to understand how to use Moodle. So in this particular one, it's about how to create a course, how to do topics and that. So there's little videos about how to set up a course in Moodle. There's also how to set up activities in Moodle. So how do you create a survey? How do you do feedback? Now, please note, as facilitators, you have non-editing roles, but this will give you some idea of how to do it if were you teaching on Moodle and setting up a course yourself. The e-learning coordinators will be able to do this. So if you have queries, you direct them to the e-learning coordinator to then make the changes you want to change. There's also guides about how to facilitate interprofessional training and how to facilitate Zoom training. These were those that were presented to you at the webinars, but they are there for you to refresh your memory as well. And we've also got a little section where we're adding all the webinars that we've done thus far, and these will be updated. So even these ones will go up at those sites. And if you want to listen to the conversation again, if you want to go through specific aspects, you can do so on these webinar series. I haven't got slides for the PlayStation, so I'll stop there, PlaySpace, I mean, and I don't know whether you want me to go through that or we'll leave it for the Friday workshop.
I will just preview it with that. In addition to the facilitator course, we will create a replica of the online course that people can get in and practice and see. And even though we're still in the background making some changes on the final course, we do want everyone to start to get familiar with the online course. Thanks, Fatima.
No problem. And then just to also say that once we put the discussion board up, if you feel there's any other topics you want to have added onto the facilitator training course, please let us know, because we can only improve that training course once you engage with it and tell us what's missing or what you'd like more of.
Thank you, Shahan and Fatima. Irenaeus has just posted a link to evaluate this webinar. You will send it out to your emails also. Please, it's important for us to receive your feedback on that. We still have a few more minutes. If there's, I don't see any questions in the chat. Any one of the speakers who want to add something?
I'll just respond to this question. Am I right to say the virtual course is similar to the face-to-face Stripe HIV workshops that we conduct in the first phase? Yes, that is exactly right. And on Friday, we'll go over some tips for how you do that, because we found that role play might be a little awkward over Zoom, and so we're going to go into some specifics, but that is right.
It's been a while since we've had the how to do Zoom workshops and how to run an online interactive workshop on Zoom. So please just to refresh people's memories about that, and there are recordings for that. Maybe to look that will supplement what Shahan is doing on Friday.
That's a good point. So what we're going to do on Friday is apply what the 3 webinars on how to do a Zoom workshop, and show you how you're going to use the LMS as a tool for accessing resources and for accessing the module 3 materials, for helping your learners take pre-post tests. And so instead of using the website like we did in the first year to download materials and to give the pre and post test, we're going to use the LMS, but the learning itself is happening over Zoom.
Right, but if the schools have the material, there's nothing stopping them running a Zoom workshop already now.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Right. Okay. So let me see the time. 5 minutes left. Again, I just want to apologize about this number issue. We will make sure that it doesn't happen again. Not sure what happened there. It must have been a license issue. And Irenaeus, invitation for Friday's webinar. Okay, so anything else from the speakers, or shall I wrap up?
I think we can wrap up.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much to all the speakers, Fatima, Cheyenne, Gina, Sebastian. We all know it's very hard work, but it's great to see things coming together, and it's actually quite nice to see how clear it is now. But I'm sure we will all encounter, once you go into the issue, we will all encounter little problems, and we will be at hand to assist you. And thank you for everybody that attended this afternoon or this morning, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.